Welcome to today's Instagram Live. We are on this page right now because, as you may have received the update, I am shifting to another page, but that page is not at the level where I'm allowed to go live yet. So we're having the conversation here today. A little bit of backstory about what's happening with the account shift. This account has been restricted for many years, and I've just been in acceptance of that and working within it. And the call came a couple of months ago. It's time to open up a new realm for the next level of the mission, the next level of the conversation. And so many the beautiful divine synchronicities occurred to give me the new handle as well. So if you are someone who wants to be receiving my transmissions moving forward into 2026 and beyond, then definitely follow Aaron.Rose, that Instagram, and it's going to be it'll be interesting to see how it syncs up with the timing of everything else that we're going to be talking about today, the shifting energies, when that shift is fully complete. And I'm in kind of improvisational surrender about that transition process. So welcome. We are gathering today to speak about the current energy. I want to talk about what's going on right now, and then I want to talk about what's coming. And because this is a very significant, potent time, I'm sure you can feel it. And of course, at this point, the caveat that I'm always making when I'm having this is sometimes people will comment and say, isn't it always a significant time? Yeah, these are the times that our souls have been preparing for beyond this lifetime. It's a very significant time on Earth. It's a very significant year. This is a threshold crossing year. By 2027, it's like we still, I'm picturing like an airlock in a spaceship where you're kind of in between, or you're like walking into a movie theater and there's a kind of liminality where you can still kind of see where you were. You might get called back there for a minute, and you know they haven't closed the doors behind you yet. That's going to be 2027. There's going to be a full eclipsing out of the old reality. In a way, if you think about the 2019 versus 2020 feeling, there was a point in 2020 where you realized whatever that initiation was for you, that your life was there was no way to go back to who you were and what life looked like in 2019. It was just that reality. It's like that file had been deleted, that frequency tone had shifted, and so we're moving into that again. And I'm always walking a line here with the timing and the energetics, because a huge part of my message and my philosophy, the way that I relate to life, is that literally every single now moment has the same infinite potential. Right? It has the same potential for us to change our lives, to free ourselves from old conditioning, to create the things that really light us up. And I'm always tracking for not bringing an energy of encouraging, like, it's almost like the way we give, there's such a conditioning to give our power away, of like, oh, this is the significant day, so that means that, it's almost like you can see how people relate to certain moments or days as like an external thing outside of them that's going to save them, or going to be the thing that shifts them. And that's actually what we're going to talk a lot about today, is how you actually get prepared, because there's so many opportunities this year. Seriously, receive this right now if it is meant for you. There are so many opportunities, especially if you've been patient, especially if you have made many different soul level difficult choices, where you have had the keys to the kingdom dangled in front of you. You've had whatever that thing is that motivates you the most. You've had these sort of false opportunities to depart from your true path. You've had to say goodbye to people. You've had to say goodbye to opportunities, to places, to situations. You've had to burn in the ego-destroying fires of who you thought you would be by a certain point and what that meant to you. If you've been on that level of the devotional path and people even have said, maybe people have wondered, or you've wondered, am I procrastinating? Am I stalling on my calling here? But there's also a part of you that knows, like, my time is coming now, and I've been participating fully in life, and yet most of the choices have been about not taking the bait, both in terms of the carrot and the stick, right? The carrot of do this thing and just compromise your authenticity just a little bit, or the stick of do this or else, something bad's going to happen. So those of you who've been navigating that type of initiation, this is a year where you're released from a level of that patience curriculum, but you have to be ready. You have to be ready to fully participate in it. It's like you could have the most beautiful sunny day that's like a perfect beach day or a perfect skiing day, and that day it is perfect for you. But you got to get out of bed. You got to get your skis. You got to get up the mountain. You got to get up the chairlift. You got to decide to go down, right? You have to make all of those choices. And that is so much of the curriculum of the last few years, especially. I mean, it's really been since 2011, 2012, but the peak kind of final exam of this energy has been since 2023, like early 2023. Big surrender curriculum, big patience curriculum. And this just like waiting, waiting, and still active waiting, right? There's things that I'm about to initiate and activate that have been brewing for many years. And I've also had a very active couple of years, but there's been medicine of patience and surrender. And that energy is going to start to shift, because a lot of the emphasis has been on releasing distorted masculine energy, that hustle culture, that force, that overriding from the mind, and then resurrecting the feminine, the energetic, the spiritual, the intuitive, the being state. Right? That's why you see so many people who the idea of getting paid to exist is so strong right now in the collective, and the kind of like feminine business and the soft era, right? Very strong the last few years, because people are working through this curriculum on how do I not override, right? How do I resurrect these suppressed parts of my being, my actual being state? How do I start to live in harmony with life? And the thing is about this, the way the energy is going to be shifting is that life is going to ask for your participation with an integrated masculine and feminine, with the ability to be like that monk within the storm, to be sage mode, if you know Naruto, sage mode, gathering the energy, being very precise about the actions you're taking, but when it's time to act, you're going for it. And I'm going to just see these comments here. Anyone who's live, you're welcome to ask questions. And I'm just going to be talking through current energy and what's coming next. Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things. I'm going to give you some headings. Right now, big choice point time. Big time of whatever is still needing to be renovated about your energy, and the architecture of how you are living right now is being shown to you very intensely. I'm seeing this in the form of a lot of places where we didn't realize we were making exceptions, where you're like, okay, yeah, these are my standards, but because of this wounding, because of this false loyalty, we don't even realize it, but we've been unconsciously making these exceptions, or we've been making excuses, again, from the wound of like, oh, I'm just not the kind of person who could do that, or it's not the right time, or blah, blah, blah. Things are coming up right now to show you where those exceptions are, where those excuses are, so that you can make a new choice, so that you are entering, as we cross these thresholds in February, eclipse and Lunar New Year on the 17th, Saturn-Neptune conjunction on the 20th, off to the races with the fire horse here beginning on the 17th. You got to have your energy dialed in, right? These are mastery times. We've had a lot of time to prepare, which is also why some people are feeling very nervous right now, because they can feel that their system still needs some reorganization, and the energy coming in is going to be very, very potent. Those of us who are ready can use it so consciously, so efficiently, so intentionally. I'm already seeing it, the level of making, because our beings are more coherent, right? Manifestation has been slower because our energy has been so incoherent, right? Because it's been like, okay, I'm playing 400 different radio stations within my being. I'm playing my old wounds, I'm playing that wound, I'm playing that social expectation, I'm playing that, and then I've like got this like cluster of of radio stations that are playing my higher timeline. But as our beings get more coherent and consistent, we're able to sound truer and clearer notes that then create a shift much more quickly. And so that's very exciting for those of us who know what we're here to create, who understand how to be in listening to the divine call. This is our time. Like, this is where the logic of the world changes, where you for so long have felt like a stranger in a strange land. So long you have felt like someone who has just not fit in, and you may still feel that way, but it's kind of like you've been in school this whole time and you've been failing because you can't do the standardized test, and you won't override, and your brain can't receive useless information or irrelevant information. And then all of a sudden the teacher's like, guess what? Open concept, create whatever you want, unlimited budget, just make it happen. And all the kids that are like, no, but I have my flashcards, are like, don't know what to do. And you're like, oh, thank God, here's my magnum opus that I'm just going to casually make in the next couple of days. So those who are able to master their energy, to operate from coherence, to understand when they're operating from reactivity, are going to really succeed at this time. And you're also going to see a lot of energies spinning out because the acceleration is happening for everybody. And if you add fire to a fire, if you've got like unconscious reactivity gasoline flying everywhere, you're going to see that, which is why you see all the war timelines and things like that playing out. And your job is to create what you're here to create. And I'm going to be beating this drum this year. I already have been for months now. Almost my entire 2026 forecast was about creativity, was about your gifts, because everything that you have been calling in, everything that you have felt like this is what I'm here for. And I know you've all got beautiful dreams. It's like, you've got your off-grid compound, and you've got your like alpaca sanctuary, and you've got your art program for kids, and you've got your sustainable clothing line, and you've got your, community meal sharing thing. It's like you have so many different beautiful ideas. You have the capacity to be a guide. Like, you can read energy very clearly, and you're able to help people on their paths from a sovereign place. I'm just naming different visions and gifts here, but everything that you want in your life, those dreams that move your heart forward, lies on the other side of you completely being yourself and giving your gifts fully. This is a year that rewards participation, and not like, kids standing on the side of the dodgeball game, like, throwing one ball and like, okay, I'm here, whatever, I'm wearing my uniform. No, that's going to be more painful. That's like standing on the stage next to someone who's singing the song that you wrote. You're here to play all out, and it's so exciting, because if you've been in the initiation of like not being able to force things, it's almost like you had to like table a lot of masculine energy for quite some time, because every time you went to go create again, it was like, oh no, I'm burning out again. Oh no, my like Capricorn, like my shadow Capricorn programming is coming in, and I'm like being my own bad boss and my own drill sergeant, and I'm just like creating things from the mind out of fear. Okay, gotta stop again. That's changing. So you're being asked to participate fully and to initiate. This is Aries energy. This is I am energy. This is like a kid who doesn't even have an identity self-concept. They're just being themselves. So you are being asked to basically like, it is a rebirth in a sense, because there is, sorry, I just heard a noise. We're good. There is a rebirth happening. It was like someone just started their engine really loudly. So we'll use that as a symbol here. There's a rebirth happening where you're going from being this like sage at the end of Pisces in the oneness, in the ability to do nothing and be everything, to then moving forward and taking action. And it requires you saying, not waiting for external permission, not waiting for someone to say, oh, that's a great idea. It requires you saying, this is my idea. This is my calling. I'm going to bring it forward now. And I'm going to like free myself like this horse that's been pent up in this paddock. And I'm going to run. I'm going to see how strong I really am. And a lot of you are going to realize, damn, I built some muscles. I didn't realize I built some muscles because I just basically felt like I was getting beaten up every day for years in the dojo. But I built some muscles and I actually can do things. And there's that concept of the Dunning-Kruger effect, where basically the smarter you get, the dumber you think you are, to say it in a kind of sage way. And a lot of you were there, right? If you remember kind of the like youthful naivete of your early awakening of like, oh my God, I figured it all out. Like I can see things and I have these gifts to share. This is going to be a time where you get to come back to that point in the spiral again, where you understand like where your shortcomings have been. You understand where you've had to develop more, and you've almost like, you've got a process for that now. You've got mentors, you've got teachers, you've got your practices. And so you can trust yourself a little bit more. You can say, you know, it's kind of like a sorcerer's stone thing in Harry Potter. And welcome to everybody who's joining. I'll answer and respond to some of these comments in a minute. It's like in Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone. It's like, who gets that power? It's the one who's willing to not have it. The one who's like, I don't know if I'm the person for the job. It's kind of what happens to Frodo in Lord of the Rings as well, right? The call comes and you answer it because it is your destiny, but not because you need something from the calling. Frodo's not like, yes, I want to be famous for saving Middle Earth. Harry Potter's like, leave me alone, guys. Just want to play some Quidditch. And we are these kind of unlikely heroes. And I pause there because even that hero concept, this is something that my beloved Christina teaches about, is basically that the hero's journey is over. Very powerful transmission from her on that. Because you can also feel those kind of chosen ones overlays of like, we're the ones to save the world. No, we're the ones. It's not that we are the chosen ones. It's that we're the ones who choose. You're choosing. So you're going to get the rewards. You're going to get the soul level fulfillment of, I played full out and I gave my gifts, and I'm not sitting here watching someone else be the one who gets to write the book that I was going to write, or bring the product forward that I was going to bring, or just, life is, those who participate fully are going to be the ones who end this year and move into 2027 feeling like they've had a true quantum leap, a true 10x expansion, like death and rebirth. Who even are you? You're just more of who you really are. And then positioned to be building and stewarding at a much higher level as the demolition of the old is going to continue, but the creation of the new is beginning now. And if you're watching this, you're part of that. And so this is it's a little paradoxical because only you can know what your call is. And yet part of my calling is to look you in the eye right now and say, this is your time. So let's go. And what is it that you're here to create? And what is that gift that you've been sitting on? And what is that story that you're ready to let go of and say, you know what? I've been saying blah, blah, blah about this for years, and it's holding me back. And I want to live a new story. And I want to reconsider what my non-negotiables are. I want to reconsider what I said I would do or not do, right? We're keeping our code of values, but we're also staying open to what God is actually calling us to do. And for some of you, that's going to be, for me, even having a business, right? That was part of a total shift in my consciousness years ago of, oh my God, am I actually going to have my own products and put my things out there? Yes. But before I did that, I was totally opposed to that, right? I didn't think that was my path. So what are you here to do? And now is the time to get ready. In terms of the completions that are happening right now, there's a lot of soul level choice points occurring, and they're everything that needs to be dealt with so that you have a clear energy and the correct people around you for the creation that is coming. That is happening right now. It's only going to intensify over the next 3 weeks. So lock in for final season, because that's what it is. And then how are you preparing yourself to act? And I do want to share for a moment here the container that I'm leading starting on February 3rd it's a 90-day container for people who are on this path, who know, okay, I've been prepping. I've maybe been in like a fall or winter season of my creation and my mission where I've just been like composting and dying to who I once was, letting things go that were misaligned. And now it's time to go. Now it's time for me to be able to look back even 90 days from now, even April, May, to be able to look back and say, damn, I really did that. Wow. I am amazed at the level of what I was able to create and how fun it was and how many people's lives it changed that quickly. And it's this container, which is called Mission Spring. Although as I've been writing about it recently, a couple times I've written Mission Sprint, because the last time I ran this container, the energy was much more like sprout emoji. It was like, I'm emerging, right? Like I'm starting to step forward. I'm starting to kind of sound the first note of my new chapter. This is like fire horse blazing out the gate. The energy of the previous container was a bit more like, okay, we're kind of encouraging and we're like nourishing and kind of bringing forward these like baby sprouts of our new chapter of our mission, which is where I was at that time as well. Now it's like you're coming with your own full octane canteen of motivation and a feeling of, I am doing this no matter what, and I want to be in a very small room with a very dialed in group of people who are all saying, I got to do this. I got to emerge as a completely new version of myself. I got to surprise myself at what I can create in a short period of time. And I got to get out there. I got to bring forward what I'm here to bring forward. And how do I move with that high octane, swift, accelerated power without repeating the distortions of the hustle and the force of the old? This is what this container is about. It is very small. I think we're going to cap it at only 6 people. We had a first wave of people come in a couple months ago at this point, like November, December. People were like, boom, yes, I'm in for this. And then there's been a few spots that have sat, and I've just been contemplating who are these for. And I was sensing, okay, there's going to be a group of people that are going to go all the way through Capricorn season, all the way through the beginning of January, and then have this feeling land for them now of, okay, I've gone through my wintry cocoon, and I'm realizing that it's like you're in the green room and you can hear your name being called. You're being called to step up. And it's not about, it is about visibility. But even more than that, it's about creation. It's about what have you been given to steward at this time, and there are people who are ready for it, right? And you can. That's why it's also about the intensity of this time is not to be. You can't just like breath work your way out of how intense things feel. It's intense. It's intense. Like, oh my God, I'm about to go run 100-meter dash in the Olympics. It's intense. Like I've been building this energy so that when my consciousness is ready to direct it properly and the collective is ready to experience it, we're going to go. So this is the feeling tone of this container. Again, small group coaching, 90 days, starting February 3rd. It is by application only, even if I know you, even if we've worked together before. You can comment the word spring here on the live or on the replay. And my internet elves will send it to you. I think we still have the automation. If we don't, I'll be personally checking DMs and I'll send the information to you. And if you're feeling the yes for it and you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out. Because I know when I get the call, this is the only small group I'm leading this entire year. That in terms of what I'm able to see. Last year I ran something for the whole year. Now it's just this 90-day thing. And I'm not the kind of person who's like, another year, I'll just do the same thing I did before. I get these very particular assignments and downloads of this type of container, this amount of time, this group of people. And so I know that there are a few more people who may be tuning into this right now who you're supposed to join us, right? And we've got a seat with your energetic signature on it. And if you're feeling the call, just reach out. And the application will just help us. It'll help you actually articulate and start the process of saying a deeper yes to what you're doing. And it'll help me understand if it'll be a good fit. The folks who are already in are very mystical, very powerful, like really light of heart. Like we're definitely going to laugh a lot. And really multidimensional sight. Like there's definitely a masterminding energy to it where the ability of everyone who's in the room already to like see each other and give each other these downloads, and several of them are professional level astrology insight as well. So, I'm obviously leading the container. I am the steward. I am the main guide, and I'm going to be facilitating us through a process, and every call, everybody gets direct attention. And I can feel a very powerful weaving that's going to happen within the group. And that's just what's happening in general right now, because the soul fractals are coming together, because the frequencies are getting clearer. So it's getting easier for people to click in with who their people really are. So that is Mission Spring. If you are feeling the call, I look forward to seeing your application. And it's really one of the first things that my first coach, we're really getting eclipsed by the sun here. I trust it's the correct energy. One of the first things my first coach ever said to me when I was applying to work with them it was like the first question on the application was, what is your goal? And would you do this even if you didn't work with me? And that is the tone that I hold in all of my containers, but especially this one. It's like this is not, I'm going to get in this container, so I do this. It's I'm doing this. And I want as much support as possible. It's like being a high-level athlete and knowing, I'm going to play this game. I'm going to be the best. And I want support. And I want strategic support. All right, we're going to look at your business. Oh, and by the way, anyone in Mission Spring gets access to my whole library. So my other tiers, Mission Mastery, which is my business level tier in my membership, which includes God as my boss, my business program, Mission Space, you get all the energy updates and all the daily practices. So it's like an all-in high octane accelerator. And what's beautiful is that, if you have, this is the last thing I'll say about this kind of masculine energy right now, is that when I say high octane, it has a different quality now, because it's not about this like Capricorn, Billy Goat, like force yourself up the mountain, like God bless him, like David Goggins, Gary Vaynerchuk energy. It's much more precise. It's like the work is happening on a consciousness level, and it's just about clearing the resistance. It's like you're already a stallion. You already are a fire horse. You already can run quite far. This is already your destiny. It's literally written for you. This is already what you're here to do. So let's do it. Right? And let's create the conditions in which it's also about a container where you're insulated from the effects and the energetics of the environment that you've been in, right? Where we're eclipsing out the old so that the new becomes natural. So that's what I got for you. Energy update, invite to Mission Spring. For some of you who were tracking before, we were going to start sooner, but then the call came over the holidays. I was like, we got to give this a bit more room and we're going to start it on February 3rd. So our second call will be the day of the eclipse. We're going to ride. We're like all these like horses coming from all these different directions. And then we're syncing up into our pod, what's a group of horses called? We're syncing up into a group of horses going into the eye of the storm and through it to the other side. Okay, let me see these questions. Would love to hear your perspective on how us space holders and healers can best integrate with the energies of the time to be of higher service. Number one thing is in the past, I would have said more about navigating the reactivity of the world, navigating other energies. But now it's like, I was just talking to someone actually who's going to be in Mission Spring the other day, and she was like, I don't even feel my reactivity or the need to filter out the distractions anymore. It's just me and my calling. And I would say focusing on how are you embodying the future that you know is possible? How are you speaking from that place? I'm actually going to draw you a little diagram. If anyone's ever been in one of my programs, you have seen me draw this diagram like how many times? So welcome to those of you who are new. So this is you. Okay. This is a very precise drawing. So this is you, right? So this is you with like your pillar of light. This is your direct connection to God. This is your core frequency. So this is you like not trying to help the world. This is you, or like, let's work on being peaceful. This is you, peace. This is you, creativity. This is you in the end state that you have already cultivated, right? So for me, in my work, has a lot to do with that God connection, that creator connection, that connection to the world where we are already thriving, the confidence to share your gifts, right? Like that's me here, right? And what a lot of people will do when they're trying to lead people is that you will leave your inner temple here. And in all my programs, we do actual meditations and work to like figure out what this really feels like for you, so you know where you are. So a lot of times you'll leave and you'll be like, okay, here I am, confident, peaceful, happy, like in the bliss field with God, knowing what I know to be true. And then you're like, cool, let me go get my people. So I'm going to leave my temple, and then I'm going to go, and then I'm going to try to like move my people here. Like, okay, come on, let's go. Do. This is old paradigm savior dynamics, to be blunt about it. And it's just an outdated energy where it's like, okay, like, and if you've ever felt like people almost treat you like a Sherpa and they're like, I hired you to carry me up the mountain. That contract is expiring for healers and way showers and guides. But if you're feeling like you're carrying the energetic weight of people, it's because you left here and you went out here to go recruit people energetically and then help them walk to where you are. What you need to do is stay here, and then your work and I'm going to draw my little illustration. Usually I have a better marker. So you're going to be staying here. You're here in this energy. And then you are sending messages. You're sending the call to your people. And this is in your content. This is in your messaging. This is also in your containers. This is not dropping to whatever the level is that someone's trying, like they're drawn to your work because you're already here and they want to attune to that, and your work is going to help them go on this journey, but it's only going to help them if you stay here. And if you've ever felt that like healer guide tension of like, oh, okay guys, and it's kind of like when you're wondering if the group of people that you're with, it's like, are we going to go to this next location? Let's go. It's because you've left here and then you feel like you need everybody else to get there before you can be there. But all true teachers, right, when I think about like my actual like capital T teachers, like enlightened beings, this is where they are, right? And they stay there and they send their messages at that level of consciousness. And then if you are coded to eventually go there, then you're going to naturally work your way through that process. So giving yourself permission to be where you are and noticing where you feel like you have to kind of like, there's a difference between the actual like loving work of attuning to where your people are. And we do this a lot in God is My Boss and in Mission Mastery now, which is my business tier of my membership, where you really, I mean, I do this all the time. I sit with like, how are you guys actually feeling, right? Who is the person who wants to go here, and how do they feel when they're here, right? I know that feeling in many different areas of my life. You know, there's still levels where I'm doing this in my own journey, right? And I remember certain aspects of this. And there's great service in talking in the language of the person who's not where they want to be, and speaking directly to them. But the actual energetic transformation only occurs when you hold the tension of being here. So I trust that that's landing at the level that it's meant to. This is in response to the question of perspective on how space holders and healers can best integrate the energies and be of higher service to others. The other thing that I will say, and we've been talking a lot about this in Mission Space and Mission Mastery, the 2 tiers of my membership, which is where a lot of my focus is going this year, by the way. Right, I've got my like high level squad, Mission Spring, one-on-one clients, corporate clients, teams that I'm working with. But my main focus and invitation for folks is to come into Mission Space or Mission Mastery if you're building a business, so that we can do this work together. So so that was a little side note. What we've been talking a lot about in that container over the last couple of months has been the need to give people the over attunement of the Pisces era, which is like, take your time, don't worry, this kind of like slow energy, which was necessary, right? All of this is perfect, right? We did a lot of nervous system healing as a collective over the last few years. If you feel like you're more of a fiery person, let yourself be that way this year, because people, and you can probably already feel it within yourself, where you're like, yo, I'm ready for someone just to be like, yo, I know that you're nervous, but let's go, right? Here's the plan, let's go. And that more like direct, clear, the energy of the last few years has been more like move at the pace of the slowest version of yourself. Now it's like move at the pace of the fastest version of yourself and let the other pieces catch up. So those are some of the main things that I would highlight there. Yes, it is go time. Okay. What's a balanced way to show up in everyday life when the world has a lot to catch up to? Exactly this. Like, literally know that you are of service to the world when you are being in your authentic frequency and you're cultivating that energy, and you're not being at the effect of the outside world. Because we're in a mixed classroom right now. Everybody is in a different level of their own initiation. And your job is to be you, and to serve your soul fractal, to co-create with your soul fractal. And they will not find you if you are overly concerned with things that are actually out of your domain. And you can always be praying on this. I have a meditation in Mission Space called Playing Your Part that's really for those moments where you're like, oh my God, I'm seeing something in the world, or I'm seeing, whether it's like an event or it's like a trend that you're seeing, an ongoing issue, and you're questioning, like, what is my part in this? Is there something for me to do here? Like, do I actually have more capacity? Am I being called to participate in this? Because it's not about just this sort of dissociated disconnect from what's going on in the world, but it is about understanding what is my part to play, and also what is the sequencing of those things. There are many things that I know I'm going to be doing more of, different humanitarian projects and different projects with Christina. Like, yo, we have such a list. Like, we have so many things that we're called to do and create, but this is also about the maturity that we're not leaving behind the Capricorn energy of the last few years, or the last 2-3 decades, because it really is since 89 that we've been in this like Capricorn dominant era, but definitely since 2008 as well, 2008, 2009. So we're not leaving that energy behind. There's like a planning and a sequencing that is important to be attuned to. There are certain things that I'm going to do, but I can't do those things until I do the things that are on my list right now, right? Like right now, a big focus for me is continuing to refine everything that's within Mission Space, this beautiful space that I have been creating for 2 years now. It's almost the second birthday of it, and it's been this long-term devotion of like learning what this thing wanted to be, and then creating really powerful solutions for how to actually clarify your calling, how to heal your relationship with God, how to become the new era leader that you're here to be, and to do it also in a way that was really accessible, right? That would be easy for the people who are called to it to enter the stream. So that's been a big assignment for me, and also upgrading the curriculum of God as my boss, then creating that business tier of mission mastery. That's been a major focus of mine, and there's still some final pieces that I'm finalizing there. And I don't actually get to graduate to other projects until, though it's like you can't build your house 80% and then go start building another house, right? There's a lot of, and this is where the maturity that we've cultivated needs to come with us. And you're going to see a lot of people like start that. There's going to be a lot of like random explosive starting of things this year. And so we need that deeper current of devotion as well. Like, what is mine to do right now? What is the discipline of like, I will focus on what is mine to do right now. And because we're integrating out of that rigid mind, we're doing our morning meeting with God. We're doing our daily devotion. We're listening. We're listening to life, just like we listen to the weather. Like, oh, I plan to do this, but it's raining today. Cool. I'm going to make an adjustment, right? It's like dynamic divine guidance is part of it as well. And you got to really listen in for what is my part to keep going back to this question of what's a balanced way to show up in everyday life when the world has a lot to catch up to. Honestly, live your life. Like, what would you do if the world was already healed? What would you be creating if you didn't need permission? Do that. And that, because you're in the end state of healed world, authentic self, that's going to create more of that. That's really, one of the big levels of the mission here. Okay, I'm going to answer one or two more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. So if there are any final drops, questions you want to put in here, you are welcome to do so. So Anna says, the impatience is so intense, how much longer? Well, that's a great question, because let's distinguish between patience and intensity, because there has been a kind of like needing to wait energy. But part of why I actually was going to start Mission Spring sooner, but then the divine timing reorganized it, is, and anyone who's been in my containers, Mission Space, Mission Mastery, my one-on-one clients, we've been talking about this for months. It's actually time to start now. I named my energy update for January creative commitment. So it's like, no, and it's kind of the metaphor I was using is it's like walking with a weighted vest, where you're like, I'm moving forward, and it's taking a lot of energy. Like, it takes a lot of energy to focus right now. Let's be real. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of focus. And if you're feeling like, no, it's easy to focus, great. I'm glad for you that that's like the reality that you're attuned to. But for a lot of people, moving out of the freaking mud of the last few years, the lotus, right, emerging, the butterfly emerging, the dragonfly emerging, the baby chick emerging, it's a lot of energy. But start now. Say, what do I know I'm here to create? If I go 10x myself, if I say, okay, like, what would I love to have that happen this year? Let me times that by 100, right? Okay, whether it's like, maybe you have a product and you're like, okay, I'd love to be in 2 more stores than the product. Okay, what if I was in 2,000 more stores? Who would I be there? What would that version of me be obviously doing on a daily basis? And how do I start to implement those behaviors now? Even if it feels like pulling teeth, even if it feels so hard to be like, okay, I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes, then I'm going to create this thing, I'm going to reach out to this person. We need to start getting into, I've been calling it getting into inspired action shape, because then the weight vest is going to come off. And then you're going to be cruising in the right direction, rather than the weight vest comes off and you're like, okay, where am I going to go? Everybody's timing is different, but that's what I got for you on the impatience. It's like, this is the quantum shift, is if I weren't impatient, if the gates had already been released, what would I be doing right now? And if your life is bringing you a lot of like cleanup stuff, focus on that, right? Like relational cleanup, physical cleanup, dynamic cleanup. Okay, last 2 questions here. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It is a pleasure and a joy as always to connect with you. Honestly, like, this is part of my mission. This is part of who I really am, and I don't take it for granted that I get to share my site with those who resonate. So truly, I can't reply to every comment or every DM, but know that I see you and I'm grateful for you. Okay. Last two questions. I'm curious what you have to say about one's mission in the midst of their Saturn return. Saturn return is where, and especially if you have Saturn in Aries, and you're stepping into that now. Well, actually, let me just say it generally. Saturn and Aries squad is getting a big push on action right now, and responsible action, like building the things that you're here to build. I know a few people who have Saturn and Aries who are, like, I can just see the sequencing of their initiations right now. But overall, Saturn return is where if you have been stalling on your calling, you will be required to move forward on it. The me that I am now started when my Saturn return started, right? It was end of 2017 was when, like, I had been kind of working for myself. I had different clients, and, you know, like, I had been in, like, lower level versions of who I am now, but 2017 was, like, literally the fire of the pressure of you must become who you are here to become. It blazed intensely, right? And it's a very important time to have disciplined practices that keep you consistent. What stays consistent when everything is changing? That is part of what the Saturn return reveals. It's like, who did you think you were? What are the things you think you have to keep doing? What are the constructs of your life that are going to get demolished and renovated? And what is really true about you? It's going to show you also where you know, like, a lot of my pre-Saturn return self, like, my little identity performance was like, I don't really like the spotlight, you know, like, I'm just not really, like, a public person, you know, like, I like to be behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. You know, that was, like, part of my story. And that was actually very immature, right? It's kind of like a prince being like, I just don't really, like, want to, like, lead the kingdom, you know, monarchy weirdness aside. It's like, I don't really like the CEO being like, I don't really want to, like, or dad. I just, like, don't really want to, like, be the dad. Like, I just don't really want that responsibility. Like, I'm kind of just more of a go with the flow. No. That's cute until your Saturn return. It's not really ever cute, but it's like, it's allowed in your developmental process until that point, right? You can be a teenager until you're not. And Saturn return shows you where you are, like, you've made immaturity your personality, and where you have to grow up. And it's a long-term initiation, right? From a human design perspective, even after your Saturn return is over, for years, you're integrating it. I still feel like I think about my Saturn return probably every day, because and I have a very Saturnian chart. Like, my Saturn placement is very continuing to get very heavily aspected, but it's where you learn to love discipline. It's where you learn to love letting go of your egoic desires and actually becoming who you're here to become, in a way that where you lose yourself in the service of others, and then you find yourself in the service of others. So congrats. Little exciting or impromptu celebration of the Saturn return, because I don't subscribe, you know, the fear, whatever. It's like that's just the fear of the version of you that has to die because it's time to grow up. But guess what? When you grow up, you get a lot more responsibility, you get a lot more opportunity, and you get to, you know, the people who are in my world, one of the feelings that they're constantly tracking for is that soul level relief of, like, I did what I came here to do. Okay. Last question. Can you share your daily method to connect with God? I feel like I need to check on what I feel my next right step is with mission, but I'm wading through a bit of confusion if this is from soul/God or ego. So the core practice that I recommend is the morning meeting with God. I have a free version of this. If you ever hear me reference something, it's always going to be in my link section. So the morning meeting with God is there. I would start to do that. It's only 7 minutes long. And if you're having, because it's like that's a great practice, and it sounds like you're needing, there's like a deeper system upgrade for you on your divine guidance system. I invite you to check out Mission Space, because we have a whole section on divine direction, on discovering, like, really building that muscle of how am I divinely guided. And we have a whole bunch of other meditations as well. We have a quarterly guidance thing. We have a monthly guidance thing. We have a next right action meditation. We have a training on human design authority, and using that for your divine direction. So I invite you to check that out if that feels like it might be supportive for you, if you want to go just on a deeper dive of how to reset and rebuild that muscle, because that is, it's so important. Like it is the skill of this time, right? It's why human design came through at the time that it did, and now is the time for us to really be the rewards of the like silent reps that you put in with yourself to learn the voice of your own intuition. Very, very important. And it's like build that muscle now, because as the acceleration picks up, it's like we're going to be making quicker choices, or the choices are going to have a more charged energy. All right. So I hope that helps. And thank you all so much for tuning in today. I am grateful to have this conversation with you. Next right actions, anything that I mentioned, you'll see at the link in my bio. If you're not following the Aaron.Rose account, go there, because we're going to be bringing the party over there. And that's a wrap. You know what your next right actions are. Sending you all so much love. Until we meet again, take care.